Hello everyone, welcome back. So tonight we're going to do a couple things. First, the material design and XAML project. I think the 4.8 release is probably ready to go. It's kind of gotten to the point where I'm just throwing in whatever new PRs drop in. Nikolai, thank you very much. You are absolutely killing it. For anybody using the library, give him a big shout out because he has been just smashing issues left and right, which has been awesome. So there's a couple outstanding PRs. Going to get those reviewed, merged in, and then kick the 4.8 release. Since if you didn't follow, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks ago, did a stream on the GitHub Actions that are behind it. I've pretty much automated the entire release process, which is love it, absolutely love it, which is great. So it should be hopefully a matter of click the button and come back in a few minutes, and then brand new release goes out the door, wiki updates, NuGet packages, the whole 9 yards. Great. The other thing we're going to do is this weekend I'm participating in another hackathon with the company that I work for, Intelitech. And as part of that, similar to like the hackathon stuff that we did before, teams are able to set up repositories, set up their pipelines, get all of that stuff in place ahead of time. So we're just going to do that because it's on Friday and my team has set up nothing. And I'm kind of supposed to be responsible and do stuff. So we're gonna see how quick we can bust through all of that, and hopefully it all goes well. So for anybody who missed it, quick, let's see. Boom. So tonight's brain teaser. Alan, if you want to jump on a call, you're welcome to join me. Also, we still don't have a name for our project, so you're on the hook for coming up with a great name. This is tonight's brain teaser for anybody who wants to take a crack at it. It's fairly simple. Let me rephrase. It's fairly simple to see what. The big question here is why. And I haven't actually gotten around to posting a solution branch for it. So the fact that the README says that this is the solution branch is a bold-faced lie. But the branch with the problem is there. So it's pretty simple. Add up the values. See what number you land on. And ideally do it without running the code. Because, I mean, any of us can set a breakpoint here and run the code and see what the value of sum is. But read through the code. See if you can understand what it's doing. For reference, this exact bug bit me on my work project, my day-to-day job. And I sat there and stared at it for a minute before I went facepalm. And then we moved on. So, but I was like, yeah, I'm rewriting a variant of that for this. So a variant of this exists in a production project. So that's fun. Okay, so let's start with material design. And then we're going to come back. So a couple PRs that are outstanding, and I think that are the only two remaining. So the milestone just has these guys in here. So couple PRs and the issue related to this one. Let me check this rating bar one. Oh, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. This issue is not appropriately in the milestone, so we're going to do that. At some point, I have this grand idea of writing me a little GitHub action that when I put a PR in a milestone, I want the issue to be in the milestone too. I want those things to stay together. And they don't stay together automagically. And so at some point, we might have to bot that away. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. This is a fairly simple idea. The idea is that the rating bar, rather than just going 1, 2, 3, should go 1, 2, 3, and vice versa. Right? So this is a adding a new field, going back and forth, which is great. The rating bar control hasn't seen a lot of love since it was added, mostly because it does one thing and does one thing fairly well. And it's kind of a little bit of a niche product. So less concerned about the demo because the demo clearly works. More concerned about taking a look at the UI test here. So text blocks foreground color. Let's see. So this is checking the gradient as it moves across. So this is just testing on the value converter. So it's not a UI test. It's just testing linear gradient, checking the stops to verify that we get 90%. Great. That I am fine with. This is just updating the other tests. Basically doing the inverse directional bits, which makes sense. Okay, so now we get down to the actual meat and potatoes. So this is adding in a new dependency property, defaults to false, which is convenient. That's what you expect of a Boolean. So invert direction. We possibly could have leveraged flow direction, but that's sometimes, even though there's built-in properties that are nice, it can sometimes bite you if you repurpose a built-in property and use it in a subtly different way. Let's see. So, Alan, I can't tell if that's a suggestion on what I said or a naming suggestion. I have troubles differentiating the two. So this is fairly simple. It's basically a 1 minus on the value in all of the cases with a break, so it early returns in the event of there. Argument out of range exception if the orientation is able to go in a different value, which I don't think is going to be possible. Perfect. And then this is in the case of the invert direction. And I actually kind of like this better. So on one hand, there is a clever trick you can do, because the big difference between these two lines are the for statements. So starting at max and counting backwards until we hit start versus starting at start and counting up to max. So you theoretically could have done like a ternary operator inside the for loop. That way you don't duplicate this bit of data, because there is a tiny bit of duplication in here. I'm not even in the least bit concerned about it. There's sometimes duplication in code is actually good. Developers have this idea that all code should be dry, do not repeat yourself. Often in the name of dry, people do some really bad stuff, and sometimes it is better to duplicate when things really aren't coupled, right? And in this case, I think having the if statement outer here rather than doing some funky ternaries inside the for is a lot more readable. Like at minimum, if we wanted to share this code, this could be moved into like a local function or something, but it's not really going to gain us that much. I like it. Invert direction. Sorry, I'm just checking where this is set. Binding path. What is this inside of? What is this inside of? So I am inside value item container button style, the template. Okay, so each item's got it, container button style. So this is forwarding the dependency property in. The other trick that you can do is on dependency properties, there's a flag on the property metadata that allows it to be inherited down. There's a small performance hint to that because now you're propagating things. Or allowing things to propagate versus just doing this is effectively manually forwarding, saying it only can go where I tell it to. Sorry, I'm gonna double check. Gotta be careful. Here we go. I like it. Okay, so we're gonna let that guy merge, and then we're gonna go to while this guy's merging, squash merge. Okay, that should close this issue. Good. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, this password box one I've previously reviewed, even possibly in the last stream. Can't remember whether I reviewed this one on stream or not. But this guy here, let's see. Let's jump into here. This PR is in and mostly working. The drawback is there is a UI test here that is broken. Because of the UI testing library that we're using is called XAML test, which is one of my own making. And specifically, these send keyboard input things don't work. This modifiers bit is the being able to do shift tab and none is the bit that's failing. So this one, as the chat indicates, should pass, assuming the other thing is merged. So let's go and take care of that real quick. So Nikolai tends to leave his stuff where I'm able to push back to him, which is awesome. If you want to make an open source maintainer's life easy, leave the box checked on GitHub that says allow maintainers to push back to my repo. So much nicer. Okay, so this guy here, I think, is just going to be as simple as updating a NuGet package. So let's go. That's not the right solution. Let's try this again. Go material design. So this should open. I think it should be as simple as rev the NuGet package, and then it goes. I think it's that easy. I just want to check. The password box tests are the ones that we're going to want to run really quick after we do this, just to make sure that it's working. Okay, so step 1, manage NuGet packages. Include pre-release. XAML test, please. That guy. I really need to kick Yes, install. I need to kick a full release of it. There's been enough stuff in there. It should probably be bumped. Okay, so that goes there. That goes there. That's simple. Okay, let's go run the password test real quick, and then we will make us test explorer. Okay, my test explorer is on the other window. That's fine. Come back over here. So you can see that we have a bunch of tests here, and the only reason is because we're multi-targeting, and so we build against a bunch of different stuff. I should really check and see when Netcore 3.1 drops out of support. So the material design and XAML library is, I intend to have it supporting any .NET or any version of .NET that Microsoft still supports. So there's no real reason at this point why that's not possible. So but that does mean that once something drops off of Microsoft's support cycle, don't expect this library to keep supporting it. The very next update, I am likely to drop it. Okay. Watch the flashy windows. Should do all the things, should pass all the tests. This is the one nice part about this library is normally testing WPF controls and styles in isolation is a pain in the neck and difficult, if not impossible, which is why I ended up writing this particular testing library, because I wanted the ability to be able to have these types of unit tests. And so they pretty much automate being able to fire up a blank WPF app, drop in a little bit of XAML or a custom control, and then just interact with it, right? Check colors, check styles, make sure that elements inside of your template appropriately toggle with your triggers and that kind of thing. So, and then they're all green. Yay! So it is literally that. So let's see. So we're just going to do this. For people unfamiliar with this, directory package props, there's a, let's see, realized package management. Yeah, typing's hard. Typing's hard. It's this feature here. Rather than having to deal with managing all of your packages in separate CS projects or similar, you can just do this, which is awesome. And then each project jumps in. There's a lot of nice features in it, things like letting projects opt in to pinning to a particular version. So if you've got a project that, really for whatever reason needs an old version of a NuGet and you don't want it to rev, you can pin it there. There's even this idea that's coming in Net 8. It's at the very bottom of that docs page about global NuGet packages. Because if opting in was too hard, that one line in your CS project is really getting too difficult, you can actually have a switch that says, just add this to all my projects, don't think, which is kind of cool. Let's see. Revving XAML test. Let's see. Commit, push, and there we go. So that went up. That should kick off the build again. We're going to put this as an approve. Nope. Come on, GitHub. Stop doing stuff to me. There to an approve. And then we're going to enable auto merge, confirm auto merge. Okay, so this should go. And then once that auto merge goes through, I think we're going to kick a 4.8 release. I see no reason not to. Everything in the thing will be resolved. It'll be done. It'll be great. It'll be wonderful. Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah. Okay, so hackathon time. What are we building and why? So previously, at a past hackathon, we made this, if anybody's interested, which is there's a couple streams I have on my YouTube, link there, right, of kind of a review of the project when we worked on it, as well as pulling in some of my colleagues that were on my team for the last hackathon. This time around, the team's a little bit smaller. There's only 4 of us, right? Got to count. Yeah, I can count to 4. I have a math minor, so I can count on one hand. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. But this time around, there's only 4 of us, and we are building an app that exists in a lot of cases. So the idea being, we have an office building. Our office building has a bunch of conference rooms. We are a Microsoft shop, so we use O365 with Outlook. The rooms are set up as resources to where you can book a room, schedule your meeting, away you go. It's great. The drawback being, when you are in a larger office setting, is oftentimes you and a colleague may say, hey, let's grab a room, sit down, talk through a problem, whatever. The issue being, you're sitting in a room, you don't realize that it's actually booked in 5 minutes, and then you get kicked out and moved around. Not a big deal, but it would be a nice thing to resolve. So the idea is tack up a tablet next to every conference room that can show you when the conference room is scheduled, when it's available, or when it's scheduled to be used, or when it's available. And then, if possible, let you basically book a meeting right there from it. So that's the premise of what we're building. And this type of app, there exists a lot of other solutions out there. A couple problems with a lot of the other solutions that we looked at. There either wasn't great integration with Microsoft Graph, which is what backs a lot of your O365 data, or they were unreasonably expensive, right? They want to charge you on a per room basis per month, which we don't have a huge office. I'm trying to think. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got like 5 conference rooms that we probably want to do this in. I think technically the office lists like, I don't know, nearly 10 conference rooms, but some of them are a little more, we'll say, unusual, that don't usually get booked. Like we've got this loft with like hammocks and whatnot in it. That's not really a place where you sit down and have a meeting. Great for a nap, not great for a meeting. And then there's a couple like phone booth style one-off. They're really just kind of one person type, I want to take a call where there's not a lot of noise coming in type rooms. So there's a few of those that it's really not a big issue with, and people don't usually like book meetings in those rooms. They usually just walk over and take whatever's there. They're kind of hotel-y space. So we are looking to build that style of app. The team discussed it. We're going to take another run at Blazor because Blazor's cool, and why not? And the only reason I'm showing this project here is the structure of what we're going to set up is going to end up looking a heck of a lot like this. So it's going to be and let me think. I think I actually have this thing. Boom. Do I not have? Might have to go get the URL for this. I don't even remember. Hang on. That's right. I mean, here's the app service, so we can grab it here from do 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 do. So if anybody cares, here's the old one. All right, so you could do a join game. And yes, we intentionally made it look like Windows 98, for better or worse. Yeah, it allows people to drop in. You can start a game, and effectively, if I paste it in, I can end up join other, right? Join game. Whoop. And I can end up, you effectively end up playing Minesweeper, where, you know, you go back and forth. And the goal in this case is to find the mines, not to miss them. So, fun, simple little game. But in this case, we're looking to do a similar style of architecture. So the idea will be a Blazor front-end client. There's going to be a server backend that's going to be responsible for interfacing with Microsoft Graph, getting all of that data. The team discussed we're going to try to abstract the concept of getting back that room and availability data behind an abstraction layer. In the event that we ever decide to do something with this, maybe we want to tie it into G Suite, some other calendar type system. We figured we'd like an abstraction layer there, but this is a 24-hour hackathon. We're not building out, like, we're doing one, with the end goal being we'd like to get this to the point where it's usable inside of our own office. That's the goal. 24 hours, 4 of us. That's the sum total of it. Okay, so we're going to start here. And Alan, I have seen no hints from you nor anyone else for what we should call this thing. So, did we use GitHub Actions here before? And make production. Yes, right, about that. Meatmeister. I mean, I'm gonna go with Meatmeister unless I hear a better name option. Just to, yeah. Well, I have to create a repo, and somebody has, for whatever reason, somebody thinks I have permission to create repos. So I can do this, and we can rename it later. And yes, that is Benjamin. I can do this, and we can roll with this. And it's public. We're gonna do a README. Let's see. Visual Studio, MIT, something. No, we're not gonna do Azure Pipelines. We're gonna do GitHub Actions. Hackathon repo. February 2023. Because I have no creativity. And this is where I'm like, I really want to spin some templates. But I'm not gonna. I resisted the urge. We could. I'm thinking of a name. Just a sec. Okay, you've only got a moment though. Vigilant Waffle. Is that a viable name? Room of Death Finder. See, now that one's not horrible. So a bit of insight into our office. Hang on, let me see. Do we have any? Let me look. If anybody's interested. Whoop, boom. About us. Do we have any pictures? I was hoping to see if we had some pictures. So like this picture here is taken from our loft conference area during one of our .NET meetups. And that's one of our conference rooms. This is the other one. The blog. So a lot of I was hoping to find one, Benjamin, with the names of our conference rooms. So a running joke is that the owner tends to make several Princess Bride references. If he needs a random name, it will be Inigo Montoya. That is the random name that will come. And so when doing the office renovations, we had to come up with a naming scheme for all of our conference rooms. And so they are all Princess Bride jokes. So my personal favorite is we tend to interview people in the Pit of Despair, which is the name of one of the conference rooms, which is just mwah. If you ever interview with us, don't panic if you see an invite link to the Pit of Despair. It is not meant to be indicative of how your interview is going to go. Why isn't the project for the hackathon on WPF? Mostly because the end target is going to be running on a cheapo Android tablet. So we came to the conclusion, we're like, well, we could do something with like Maui and do a native app. Then we're like, the browser's a little more universal, seems easier, little less upkeep with revs of Android stuff, since we really don't care about like anything native. Like we're really just, we're going to be pulling a web service to get some information. Miracle Meat. Okay. I mean, it is better than Vigilant Waffle. Benjamin is the only other team member on the call or on the chat. Any objections? Kilter. For people who aren't familiar with the movie The Princess Bride, consider it homework. While we're doing a hackathon this weekend, go watch it. It's well worth it. It's hilarious. It's a classic. It's better if you watch it late at night. I kind of like Miracle Meat, seems kind of nice. Gilder is definitely one of those. I don't know how many people will actually get the reference. I'm convinced you're on a Wikipedia page. It fits the theme. Yeah, I like it. Create repo, because somebody thinks that I should have permission to click this button. My goal is to prove them wrong. Okay, so we are going to just start shamelessly poaching. So let's start with this. Clone repo. That one. Boom. Got it. Clone. Yes, I'm on the Princess Bride wiki. Miracle Max meetings. Okay. You gotta quit throwing ones at me. If you want me to rename it, speak now, before I get too carried away on craziness. Okay, so boom. Let's go in here and we are going to create a new project. And I'm surprised this thing shows my recently used templates as blank. That's concerning to me. I like Gilder. You want me to rename it? You're killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me. Matthew McDonald's post on WPF. Ooh. I have not seen this one yet. I'll take a look at it. There was, so hang on, let me find one more thing. There was a great write-up I saw. Write-up. No, let's be clear. This isn't a write-up. This is a meme. This tweet here, I got a great laugh out of. Comparing .NET frameworks. VB, WinForms, WPF, Silverlight, UWP, WinUI3. Like this, I think this is actually a reasonable explanation of everything. The only one I'm not sure is really fair is the WinForms. WinForms is more popular than WPF, and like I don't know. I just don't see the limited, easy, economical. Like there's a lot of stuff built here. Yes, you got to do a little more work yourself, but man, I do think this is kind of a good example between WPF and WinUI3, in that This is probably the future. Probably. And I have to keep hedging my bets because UWP was also supposed to be that. And yeah, it did. But there's still limitations around WinUI 3 as they make it a much more viable thing. There's a lot of rough edges, I saw an app from Microsoft earlier today where they were doing the release with MSIX, and just the installer and setup and everything that went into it just made me cringe. And doing the SDK setup is complicated and hard. Like compared to the WPF experience, it is a much higher bar for entry. So the limited range, but I mean slick, fast. Yeah, it is. In MVVM toolkit, there are two useful abstract classes: observable validator, observable serpent. Sometimes I found some cases where a class needs to inherit both. What's their approach to resolve that? Well, so you can't get away with multiple inheritance. So depending on what you need, the observable recipient, if I recall correctly, doesn't add a ton to it. It gives you the iNotify property changed as well as a messenger property. You can get away with, there's an observable object attribute. So have your class derive from observable validator. And I might have to double check this, but I believe you derive from observable validator and decorate your object with the observable object attribute. And away you go. Avalonia is one I definitely want to take another look at. It's been growing in popularity. The first time I looked at it, it was really immature. But that's been years ago now. And I've had people ask about material design and XAML ports to it, which I think would be great. But when I looked at it before, there wasn't enough exposed to actually do kind of the lower level animation rendering that we want to do for like the ripple effects and whatnot. And so I had initially scrapped the idea just based on some of the base stuff wasn't even available. Like we could have done like button looks and that kind of thing, but it was like, if I can only do like a 60% thing, that's just asking for bugs or bug reports from people. And I'm like, if I want to do it, I want it to be done well. So, and it's a big lift. But I do suspect the material design XAML project will probably, one of the next features after the 5.0 release is probably going to be looking at porting to other targets like Avalonia, WinUI, or at least getting some of those abstractions built to do that kind of thing. Okay. I think what I heard you say, Alan, is don't rename it, leave it as Miracle Meat. I think that's what I heard. So if you disagree, yell now. Okay. New project. Blazor. Okay. Let's see. This template. Let's see. I am trying to remember what the setup is here. Like either. Excellent. Server app empty. Does not have any content in it. I think this is the one that we've done before. Okay. And I'm just, there's going to be a handful of times while doing this, I'm going to end up just probably needing to hide my screen just to make sure I don't accidentally expose something I shouldn't. Okay. So, and we're going to call it. See, I'm also realizing that due to the fact that I can't spell, Miracle is probably problematic. Would it be a bad idea to just fork pointer and delete everything? It wouldn't, except the rename I see as being problematic. I actually think it's quicker to not do the rename. I think this is all here. I think we're going to turn off top level statements. I can't remember. I can't remember where I left this before. Either one. We get so Visual Studio actually has a nice integrate. Oh, suck. Wrong project template. See, we're gonna. This is why I was doing this a couple times because I have a sinking suspicion we're going to end up doing this a couple times. Well, I can't remember which project template I was in. There's a couple of them, and some of them do what I want, and some of them don't. So we're going to go with the ones that do what I want. And we're going to try again. Do all Blazor projects come with PWA optimizations turned on? So it depends. So we should clarify, because Blazor is, there's Blazor server and the Blazor client. I believe the project templates that for the WebAssembly do. I think. Yeah, for some reason, I must have installed a Visual Studio update or something recently that ended up jumping everything. Oh wait, this is the same project template. That would be a bad choice. Server app. And optionally, oh, that's right. You go with the WebAssembly app, and then you check the box for the. I think this is it. Because if you just do the WebAssembly, you're almost doing almost like static site level hosting stuff, and we want a server. Oh yeah. Hey, look at that. There's the box. Progressive web app. On, off, on, off. ASP.NET Core hosted. Yes, please. Authentication type. We don't need any. We do not need any for this. I'm mildly tempted to turn it on, but we're going to go no. I think I'm actually going to turn it off. Only because I don't think we aren't going to necessarily use SignalR on this project. I don't know if I don't know if I care. So here we go. Server, client, shared. This looks like the project that I seek. And so this sort of setup is what I was hoping for. So step one, let's make sure it launches. Let's start there. And then we're going to add in some stuff. Launching, thinking. That's not a very big ringing endorsement. What? Did I just get it? Okay, hold on. Start with a build. I'm wondering if I caught it pre-restore because it didn't have everything there. Okay, launch. Cannot read. What the heck? I am very confused. Okay. That's what it's like when I try to go. Don't worry, Alan. I'm gonna make it look as hard as possible. So let's start here. So worth noting, we've got the HTTPS, which correlates to a file down in your launch settings.json, which then we can see it is this guy right here. So this is what he's doing. He's attempting to do effectively a .NET run on the project, which is what you get when you do the command name. Launch browser. I mean, maybe I'm just stupid, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I don't know if this is just an indication of something I have done. Okay. One other thing I would like to try really quick is I'm going to flip into Visual Studio not preview. Just to make sure that I am. Oh, it's not going to be in my recent list because that's not a thing. jump into here and use regular VS. Just to make sure this isn't something stupid with ha ha. So about that. Okay, so it's something with my VS preview. Okay, I'm less concerned there. It could be a bug in VS preview. It could be I think I just need to clean and reinstall it. I've gotten myself into states where it's just something's wrong with my VS preview. So as much as I prefer to use the new stuff, this will do just fine. Okay, so we've got a counter. Click, click, click. Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah. Okay, so that's in. That's working. That's going. Okay, so we're gonna start here. First commit. Let's see. Default project. Boom. Commit. Push. Happy. Okay. Next thing we want to do is we want to set up some tests. And let's do. I think you had a good idea, Alan, with pointer. So for anyone who cares, shameless self-promotion. Here we go. So this guy here is a fun little project we did. And it is literally just a very simple pointing poker site. Sure. Where people can come in. You can imagine being able to vote on different stories and that kind of thing. It's a simple setup, but it's also a nice example of some of the, or I should say, of the Blazor product stuff, and we are going to straight up poach some of the things right off of it. Like, for example, this file. We're just going to steal. I use it every day and love it. That coming from a project manager. Just saying. Okay, so we're going to go here. New folder, GitHub, and give me my Dependabot. Boom. Actually, it's probably just as easy. I think I have it cloned. Probably just go here and oh, I'm back a little ways on my local clone. Let me jump up. Okay, so we're just gonna steal some files here real quick. Folder A and folder B. Okay, so I think what I can do is I can just blindly go copy, paste, replace, and then we're gonna knock off the funding one. We don't care about that. And just call this guy main. Boom, 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 and then we're gonna come over here. For those people who haven't seen it, Visual Studio added in this nice little thing when it sees GitHub Action YAMLs. I always go through and add them to my Solution Explorer, but now I may not need to do that because they add them right there for you. Thank you, Visual Studio team. You make me happy. Extra points if, let's see. This guy did not automatically pick it up and show it to me, so I'm going to do a couple things. Close, 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 close. That's all. I just realized I had like 5 Visual Studio instances open. Okay, so this guy should show me my, there we are, my GitHub Actions. Thank you. Okay, so most of this should be fairly simple and straightforward. The other nice thing is because I poached this off of a project that has Dependabot set up, I'm already confident that my actions that are being used are up to date, or at least they're up to date within the last week, which is great. Sorry, one moment. Sorry. I've got a family member not doing well in the hospital. Okay. Let's see here. Action caching much? No. When you say action caching, do you mean NuGet caching? Because I'm not familiar with action caching. Educate me, Benjamin. Okay, but for the most part, a lot of this I think is going to just work out of the box. Checkout's going to be fine. Setup.net version 7 worked just fine. Run a release build, which is working just fine. Worth noting, .NET, I'm trying to remember, for .NET 8, the default value for config is being changed from debug to release. So that when you do a .NET publish, you'll stop having to do this maneuver. Because very few people end up... wow. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know why it's flagging the term NuGet. I've only done some of it, Benjamin, I saw you do it on one of the other repos at work, and I might end up poaching some of your work for that. I don't know how much of a gain we're going to gain from it, but it's potentially worthwhile doing. Okay, so this is, I think, going to just work straight out. Apparently, well, it doesn't help that you keep spelling it different ways, and so it's flagging it every time. Yeah, I'm a little unsure why it flags NuGet. I don't know if that's a bad word in something else, but whatever. The nice part is I don't think, just looking at this, I need to change a darn thing about this. Oh, we got to change the name. We can't have this thing being called pointer. So I'm also realizing I'm gonna have to learn how to spell miracle before the end of the weekend, which is going to be a challenge for me. Okay, so we've got pipelines. There's that going. Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah. And I think that's it. I mean, we're doing this hackathon style, so we're not doing multiple environments. And can we change? Oh, yes, we can change that. Very happy to. Good catch. That's probably a reasonable thing. Oftentimes I look at this as build, not necessarily doing .NET build, but as a generic build of produce artifacts. And your needs in deploy. Thank you. I'd like to think that would have gotten flagged. Okay, so before this is actually going to work, we actually need to set up an app service with a publish profile. So I'm going to try to do this without exposing secrets. We're gonna see how this goes. Okay. So we're going to, I almost wonder if we don't, I don't want to powwow in the same resource group. So, resource groups, create. Trying to remember. I think that's the right one. Can I go into West US 3? Don't. No. Let's see. Let's call this Miracle Meat. I'm kind of, because I think we're gonna actually end up using this, I'm gonna drop putting the words hackathon onto this. Just because. Away we go. Validation pass. Great. Resource group. Spin me a resource group. Go to resource group. Okay. Got a resource group. Now we need to host it somewhere. I heard app service. Boom. Give me an app service. This is the one that I want, right? This is one of those cases where doing it in Terraform might have actually been easier for me. I'm going to go back real quick and just double check. What do you... Yeah, web app. That's the magical incantation. Yeah, I know it's an app service, but The fact that you search app service. Which region have you enjoyed dropping things into lately? Really, in this case, I was just looking for geographically close to me. Since this is going to end up being used by likely one site all on the West Coast, I was just looking to get it somewhat geographically placed. US3 could be a reasonable option as well. Let's see. Make sure no one has taken it. Yes! Okay. Runtime stack, we want net 7, pretty please. We would like a Linux thing because reasons. Let's go there. Linux service plan. We do not need pricing. We do not want premium. Okay. I'm looking for the dev test level stuff because we're going cheap. We are going cheap. We don't need much. This is hackathon level stuff. If we decide we need more, we can go more later. Okay. Let's see. Name, resource group, right subscription, code, correct runtime stack for net 7. We want a Linux operating system because it's just frankly faster than the Windows containers. App service plan, pricing plan set to V cheap mode. And was there not a... All right, I'm just going to double check one thing. I thought there was also an A tier below B. Maybe I'm wrong. Really doesn't matter that much. Yeah, you'll note the cost is trivial. And even the cost of, like, if you go up to a premium V3, like, cost of running stuff yourself, this will do. Okay, deployment. Now, I am not going to set up deployment here. I've had trouble with this thing spinning it, and I've already got my GitHub action. Effectively, all this does is spin your GitHub action for you. So it'll write the YAML. It'll embed the secret with your publish profile, which is great. It does a lot of the setup for you, but I don't care. Enable public access on, network injection off. That is correct. App Insights. We're going to gamble against needing it. We can turn it on later if we want. Okay. Review and create. Send it. Have you done a video on building an installer for WPF app and managing the app updates? Yes. And at the same time, no. While we're waiting for this, I will explain. So I have started in on a project called, if I can see, this is the problem when you pick words you can't spell. So I've started in on a project called Skirday, which is a pun on the word squirrel, just to be clear. This is based upon the, I think I have it here. Yeah. It is based upon this Cloud Squirrel package, which is based upon the Squirrel package. So Squirrel, and if I do, let's see, let's see, Squirrel installer. This guy. So I wrote this blog post. It's not dated, but I think this blog post might be 5 or 6 years old at this point. You'll note this one is referencing Squirrel Windows, not Cloud Squirrel. That's an update that I would probably change on this. But the idea being that the Squirrel package is probably one of the easiest ways to do your deployments and push out updates. Some caveats. One, If you don't sign your installers, it is not uncommon for Windows to flag and break part of the updates. So Squirrel, if you look at their tagline, it's like click once but works. So click once is the built-in behavior. If you just right-click on your WPF project, you can spin yourself a click once installer. It'll do the updates. You can manage it if you want to publish it out. It's great. At one point in time I had an example, but I'm pretty sure it's defunct now, where you could actually point click once at GitHub releases to be able to pull down the stuff. It's a little trickier because of dealing with encoding stuff and how click once is really, really picky about file hashes, like very, very picky. They must always match. But Cloud Squirrel and the Squirrel installer in general, Cloud Squirrel, I would argue, is the updated version. The other Squirrel project has been very slow to update. Some of its dependencies are woefully out of date and have known security vulnerabilities in it. It's just they've struggled with maintainers, whereas Cloud Squirrel, I think Casey, I might be butchering his name, great guy. I had a couple of chats with him. I helped him do some of the updates for the 3.0 bits. This is a great way of building your installers. Again, I would highly recommend if you go this route, make sure you're signing them. I have been holding off on my Skuraday project, waiting for a couple updates to drop. One of which is the 3.0 on Cloud Squirrel to get done. But then there's also some signing stuff that I'm hoping to see some updates come through on that I can leverage. So Cloud Squirrel, the V2 stuff is stable. The V3 stuff is very close to being stable. It is it's on like beta V4, V5 or something like that. So if you want to play around with the V3 stuff, the only thing to be aware of is it's still lacking some things like documentation. And some of the CLI commands are a little different than the V2. Overall, it's not bad. It also brings in a wealth of changes for like if you're building an app that could deploy on Mac, because Squirrel doesn't care about WPF. It just deploys an app. Great. So if you want to play with the V3 stuff, it's at least in my playing around with it, it's pretty stable. At the end of the day, what I would love to do once the rest of the updates drop, Skuraday aims to be a web backend for a lot of this and an automation portion for WPF apps. I want Skuraday to be at the point where I can do add NuGet package, set a couple CS proj properties for like author and whatnot, and then just have it work. That's the end goal. The deployment and installer setup for desktop apps is atrocious. It is horrible. There is no backing support anywhere. There's paid solutions you can opt into, but if you know how to set up things like Azure or GitHub, you can do it very cost effectively. Like it is not expensive to run. So that's Skuraday aims to kind of fill in that cloud bit behind the scenes to like if I want to have multiple release channels or I want to roll back a release. Ideally, I want to click button and have it roll back. Like I don't want to be thinking hard. I want to have a nice API and that kind of thing. So, but if you're looking for wrapping up a WPF app in an installer, Cloud Squirrel is where I would point you to at the beginning. If you run into problems, Casey is very active on his Discord channel. So definitely check that out. Like I said, he's also really responsive when people find bugs as well, which is great. And like I said, V2 is stable, works great. I've built a few apps leveraging it, and it's perfectly fine. We've actually got an app that I'm working on in my day job that uses Cloud Squirrel as its deployment mechanism, or at least one of its deployment mechanisms. It's got several, but Cloud Squirrel is the default installer that we use to push it out the door. Okay. Okay, real quick. I'm going to switch gears about 18 times. 4.8, all the things are done. Let's kick a release. Production release. This is where things become awesomeness. The milestone to generally release for 4.8.0. right? Real quick, I just want to validate that the last build worked. Okay, last builds have been fine. Great, production release. This is how hard it is for me to kick releases. 4.8.0. GitHub, do the things! Okay, this is anticlimactic. Show me the action run, please. There we are. Okay, so this is going to do a bunch of stuff. And then it's going to get all the way out to here, and then it's going to pause and wait for me to hit the approve button. And hopefully everything works great. So it's going to generate release notes, build the artifacts, do the icon-y bits. Then it's going to close the milestone, publish the release, publish the NuGets, update all my version numbers, and update the wiki. Can you ask for something better than that? Like, this is mwah, mwah. Love this. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, where were we? Go to resource. Okay, so app service up and running. Let's see. Do you prefer passing the version number on workflow dispatch? So I didn't actually pass the version number. I passed the milestone name, which is subtly different. Those two things are kept in sync by convention, but they don't have to line up. The versioning of all of those NuGet packages, because it actually produces 3 NuGet packages, so 3 separate version numbers, those ones are actually files inside the repo. Okay, so what we need here is we need the publish profile. So in order to actually push something out, because if we go to our lovely website here, our lovely website that should be doing absolutely nothing, which, pro tip, if you can't figure out what your app service is doing, Logstream is your friend. Here, we'll go bigger, right? Logstream, happy place. This is where you get to see all of the stuff. Do you need to set configuration startup stuff? I don't think I need to. So it should do all of this thing. You'll note it's not going to find any of this stuff. It's going to be unhappy. Yeah. .NET Runtime 7, unable to find startup DLL, couldn't find any files, blah, 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 blah. So it's unhappy. Because we've told it it's a .NET 7 runtime, it kind of has a hint as to what it's looking for, and it goes, I don't see nothing. What are you talking about? Okay, so in order to actually publish out, the magical incantation is this publish profile. We will download the publish profile. I will not show you the publish profile because the publish profile contains secrets. So sorry. We're going to refresh here because this should now have a bunch of stuff in it. Oh, no, we haven't pushed it yet. So we are going to go here. We are going to go secrets, actions. So this was something I actually learned about Wednesday. So the, how about, Bocan DevOps user group. Well, you can go here and get a look. You can go here and get a link to all of them. Here you go. So a colleague of mine, Jenny, gave a talk for the DevOps meetup. I believe there will be a YouTube video posted to Intellitek's YouTube. So hang on. We'll do this too. Oh, wait. There's the link. Ha! So I believe there will be a video posted here too. Her talk was doing it on Terraform and using ODIC to avoid checking in any secrets into your repo and doing infrastructure as code deployments. Very interesting, very useful. But as part of that, I learned that GitHub released the concept of variables in addition to secrets. Who would have thunk? Which is awesome. I did not know that was a thing yet. So you'll note in our GitHub Action YAML, we've got this secrets dot. And oftentimes, because there was no way to have plain old variables, or at least it wasn't trivial to have variables, people would put things as secrets that weren't actually secret. In this case, publish profile is absolutely a secret. It contains your publish keys. So yeah, so we're going to go new repository secret. We're going to put that guy right there. I'm going to take this tab and bring it off to the side where people will not see it. And I'm going to open up my So I'm going to just do, because I don't know where this is going to go. I'm going to just real quick change my screen. We are. Okay, just so that I don't know. When you open it up, your published profile will be just a small block of XML. You copy, you paste it, you hit add secret, and you should have an ending result that looks like this. So we now have a secret with the appropriate name in our action secrets. Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah. We can go through and get, if we were on a different subscription, so this IntelliTech subscription is kind of on a grandfathered in GitHub plan. So it doesn't have all of the latest features, but there are things like environments. So you could scope your secrets down at a different level. For our purposes, that doesn't matter. Why did you group? Ungroup. Don't do that. Okay. So secret is there. I think now we should be in a situation where we just push this and then we deploy and it all works and everyone's happy. No, it is not going to work yet because we have this .NET test here, which we need to address. We need to address the tests. So let's take a quick look at this structure here. So over here, you'll note I like to go through and take my unit test projects, and it's quite common to have unit tests mirror their corresponding projects. So there's the client tests, server tests, shared tests. The shared project is usually just the POCOs, the data transfers back and forth. But I like putting all of my unit tests inside of a directory for no other reason other than it allows me to abuse a directory build props file that's specific to my tests. Now, there's other ways you can get about this with MS Test. I find this to be convenient. The one thing that you have to be aware of is when you use these directory build props files or directory build targets, MS Build only walks up your directory tree until it finds the first one, and then it stops. If you want it to tell it to keep going, or effectively import the next one above it, you have to do something like this in order for it to get picked up. So just be aware. So I think we're going to, once again, poach some logic from this. So we're going to poach the concept of a test folder. We are going to poach the concept of these and these. Bring those in at the root. We'll go and look at what's actually in them in a minute. We're going to come in here and we're going to grab the build props there because I have a feeling I want a lot of those things to be the same. If I get motivated, we might go do centralized package management on top of it. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, that's good. Let's go here. So we want to do add solution folder test. So it's worth noting, I named this to match my directory structure, but there's nothing that says that this solution folder has to be in any way related to my actual project. Oh, and I'm noticing this thing is actually down a level deeper than I want. Hang on one second. We're going to go save the solution, and we are going to go bring that up a level. So cut, paste. That should have brought it up a level. Good. That, I believe, is what I want. Oh, and it opened in preview again. That's fine. We can use VS Preview. We don't need to launch it. Okay, add existing item. And now this one here should bring in the props file. I do want to add some solution items. And I want to bring in the top level props and targets files so that I have them here. So this is just turning on nullability, implicit usings. I like doing global usings in my props files. That's convenient. I like it. That's not where that's supposed to be. Remove. Okay, the targets file is empty. Is there a way to add multiple existing items at once? You can't, when you do the add existing items, you can abuse the control click in the dialog. That's just an open file dialog behavior. It's nothing overly fancy. Okay, this turns off publishable and packable for the unit test projects, which is important. Otherwise, it will break our build. We don't do that. And I think other than that, we're good. Now we're just going to add a couple new projects. Let's see. And we're going to go here. And we want to nest this guy down a level. And we're going to do... See, I already can't spell. Miracle Meet Client Tests. Yeah. That goes there, that goes there, and then we're just gonna clean some of this garbage up. Boom, die. Because I don't need. Look, this thing's faking centralized package management. I might just clean that up and do real centralized package management. But I don't need any of this. I don't need this. I don't need this. And though you could theoretically get rid of target framework, it's actually a fairly bad idea. There's stuff in MS Build that doesn't play nice if it doesn't find a target framework inside of your project. One thing I was going to add real quick, dependencies, add project reference. Just because this is the client test, it should reference the client project. Okay, add new project, XUnit project. Should remember that I wanted you down a directory. Miracle Meet server tests 7. Burn the usings to the ground. Add a project reference. Point it at the server project. Come in here. Don't need you. Don't need any of you. Huzzah. And then tests. Add new project one more time, this time with feeling. That goes there, that goes there. Why don't you like the usings? I don't need them. I'll show you. 1 second. So the usings are being included right here. So this is one of the reasons, because you can do global usings in your C# or you can do them and let them be controlled by MS Build. The advantage of the latter is you can now do things like abuse hierarchies and leverage conditions and that kind of thing. And you can do that in the C# side of things too, right? You could have one C# file that has your global usings. You can file link it into all your projects. That's a thing you can do. It's just by doing it here, I can also leverage the fact that directory build props is included to everything underneath a directory. So it means any test project that comes in automatically gets all this stuff. So I tend to like doing my global usings this way. Some people like doing it in their C# files. In fact, I think I saw a survey on Twitter at one point from one of the Microsoft people where the vast majority of people like doing it in their C# files. They found looking for their using statements inside of props files and CS projects confusing, which I get if you aren't used to seeing it there. My opinion, just learn to look there. But again, I'm aware that is not considered normal by everybody. So sorry. File scope the things, do the things. Okay, so we've got tests, we've got all this, got all that. Yep. That should just work. I'm gonna just check this thing here. That seems fine. I can now clean up these things here because I don't need that anymore. I can clean this thing up, don't need that anymore. I can clean this thing up, don't need that anymore because those are covered by my props files as well. I'm going to do one last manage NuGet packages for solution. Just confirm that we are on latest and greatest. What do you need targets for in this project? At present, nothing. It's empty. I put it there because I find myself wanting them all the time for things, and so I just kind of inherently add it by default. It also means that if if Kevin accidentally screws up and puts a directory build.targets at the root of C:, or something stupid, that this project isn't going to grab it. It'll stop at this one and not go any higher. Paranoia from shooting myself in the foot multiple times. We'll call it that. Okay, so adding, build, and publish. Now, if my GitHub action, despite the fact that I poached it from an existing project that should have had the exact same structure, if this works the first time out, I'm going to be shocked. Pipelines never work the first time out of the gate. Sorry, I was saving that one. Hang on one second. Let me move this around. You go there, you go there, you go there, you go there, you go there. Boom. Okay, so where are we at on this? So this build and test thing is still running. Great. Okay. I don't care about you. I do care about you, and I do care about the fact that see, perfect. Let's see. Also, in your action, isn't using GitHub Workspace over .NET default directory preferred? Possibly. We'll take a look. Let's figure out what we did wrong. NuGet config is not valid XML. Huh? Microsoft? I'm just going to have you note, this NuGet config ain't mine. Well now. That's exciting. That is exciting. Okay, well we're gonna fix that real quick. Let's see. .NET new. Oh. Let's see. There was it list? I thought there was a NuGet one. Maybe I'm getting confused. It's NuGet config. No, got it. No dot. Boom. Sudo make me a NuGet config. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna just dodge the issue by not using by not letting it propagate up to the outside one. Yeah, so we won't inherit. We are going to intentionally drop it and hopefully dodge it. Okay, so let's take a look at your question though, Benjamin, on got it. So rather than using environment.net root, actually use the GitHub workspace. That I think is a good call. Let's see. GitHub Actions context. I just want to validate the expected value in that. Let's see. So GitHub context W is down at the bottom. I may not be able to spell, but I do know my alphabet. All 26 letters. Yeah, so this is effectively saying, yeah, that'll work. That is a good point, and I think you are correct. So we are going to change that. Paste. Just got email notification. Material design deployment's ready. We're going to go review that in a moment. Let me just check all of this. Oh, this is going to be a problem here. Dang it. I didn't catch that. Benjamin, how could you let me do that? Let's see. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if the app name actually matters in this case. I don't think it does, but we should change it. Anyway. Okay, so let's do this. NuGet config plus Action cleanup, boom, push, let it go. And then let's come back here. Okay, so we have gotten all the way here. My release has paused to say, hey, would you like to review your deployment? And the answer is, why, yes, I would. The nice part is I should be able to, I think, yeah, so it creates a draft release for me. So I can come over here to releases, and other people can't see this, but I can come up here and go and check the release that it generated for me. And this is the part that I absolutely love about my pipeline, is it goes through, it generates up all of the key changes. So when you see me tag a pull request with release notes, that's one of the things that it's pulling in here. Smart hint alignment. I'm trying to remember why this one got flagged as a breaking change. Ah, yes, I remember it now. Okay, that I'm less concerned with. I realize it's not a major version rev, but in this case, it's breaking is sometimes debatable. I always go with, is it going to break an existing app? Okay, so I will also point out Nikolai was on point. So everyone who enjoys this release, give him a nice round of applause. The other thing is these contributors, you'll note not all of these, in fact, most of these aren't in the list of pull requests that actually came in. And the reason is because I believe that people who do things like test pull requests, file issues, those types of things should all count. So thank you to all of those, whether it was an issue, a pull request, a comment, whatever. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because these really, if it was just me doing all of this, these releases would not be coming nearly as fast with nearly as many fixes. So very much appreciate it. This all looks fine to me. So we're going to say review deployment for production. Send it. Oh, mwah, mwah. Love pipeline. Love pipeline. It does all the things, makes all the things work. So, and this, we're just going to watch for a moment because none of these steps should take very long. Okay, this isn't a ringing endorsement. The milestone failed to close and updating the version numbers both failed. That's exciting. So I might need to look at this. I wonder if I moved that file around. That's not a big deal to me. And this surprises me. So we might go play with this. But at the end of the day, the NuGets are out. The release has been published. And the wiki's been updated. So functionally, even though a couple things failed, I'll go clean those ones up later. And I don't want to just do them manually now because I want to get the pipeline working appropriately. But these things should all be working. And something in the back of my mind is telling me I renamed this. So, and now I get a slew of emails coming in from NuGet and GitHub and everybody. Things went out. Yay! Panic mode, everybody. So, 4.8's released. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We'll see if there's a 4.9 before 5.0. I keep poking at the 5.0 stuff and pushing it along, but I also don't want to hold up other releases, so I will probably make a 4.9 milestone and if there gets enough stuff in there before 5.0 is ready, we'll kick it. That'll be how it goes. Okay, so let's go back here. Look at that. Deployed, and more importantly, deployed with a URL. Your app is running and waiting for content. That does not seem correct. Try again, please. Look at that. And it is out and working. Let's see. How do you test things that late in your pipeline without running the whole thing and or releasing things when that's not the goal? A wonderful question. With much pain and suffering is the answer. So there's a couple things. In these cases, because I had this whole thing working before, I suspect these are going to be simple, and what I'm going to end up doing is rerunning failed jobs. I think. Now, the drawback being is if you need to make changes, walking your way all the way through this can be somewhat problematic. What I did before is while I was testing this stuff, I intentionally moved on to a branch, and on that branch, I did things like either commented out steps or put in conditions to make sure it didn't trigger everything, and just basically faked a solution down the pipeline because I didn't want to have to wait what is it, 15, 16, 17 minutes each time to get all the way down to here, because that was going to be a pain in the neck. And like the pushy nougats, some of these things you just can't test all the way until you get to it. Like I can get really, really close, but at the end of the day, they're like, I could have my syntax and my YAML be perfect, but if like say the API keys expired, there's no way to test for that. Like you can never guarantee success. But I can get pretty darn close. Yeah, if you want to check this one out, Benjamin, this pipeline I spent way too many hours on, but it makes me so happy. Like on one hand, I do question if the hours I put into it were worth it. On the other hand, the joy that it has brought me might be worth it all by itself. Okay, so we have repo working, we have pipeline working. Okay, I think we're gonna go turn on centralized package management. I don't see why not. Yes, Benjamin had an adventure. At some point, Benjamin, it would be nice. It's too bad we can't open source that NuGet published thing, because that actually is a good example of how to do a very simplistic NuGet. Blog post. I'm giving you free content. Okay. So let us let's see, open containing folder, boom, boom. So directory, packages, I think it was props. I can't remember whether it was props or targets. Let's go back. Docs. Centralized package management. Silly private feeds just work for me. Yeah, details. Benjamin and I work on a project during our day jobs. Okay, so couple things worth calling out. I am on the fence about this. So their description here, so it is a props file. Yeah. There is nothing magical about directory packages.props versus some of the other ones. Or I should say about this property group here. This is just one more file that MS Build now magically knows to pick up. So we're going to follow what they did in the docs, but this property group this property could very easily be taken out of here and moved into here. Right? There's no reason you can't specify it here. So, but the docs specify it here. It shows it here. Whatever. Okay, so we're going to go with it. Okay, and then we're going to come into here, and this guy here, we're just going to grab all of you. Whoop, come up to here. And we're going to come here, and we're going to go whoop. And so, couple differences between what you would normally see in your CS proj and this. One, you'll note this is package version, not package reference. Right? So we're going to just boom, 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 boom. Right? All the things. We do not need Newtonsoft. Go away. Okay, so this gives us, these are at least all of our test projects. By convention, it's kind of nice to alphabetize them for your own sanity. Let's go through and look at what else we've got here. We've got these guys here. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. Microsoft ASP.NET Core. We need you guys to be version. And you'll note this is private assets all. It's probably, I don't know. We'll leave them like that. I get confused on to which one I like. Whatever. Server is not a ton. Bring that one up too. I think it goes there, right? Microsoft ASP.NET Core WebAssembly S comes after D. Last I checked. At least today it will. And then shared, I don't think has any. No. Okay. It is worth calling this supported platform guy out a little bit too. If you do any work, so there's kind of a history here about like .NET Core, .NET Standard, and moving forward. For the later versions of .NET, you'll run into situations where .NET 7 may have some APIs available to it that may not be available on all runtimes. For example, when you are writing code for Blazor WebAssembly, you do not have access to every API in .NET 7, despite that that's what you're targeting. Some of those APIs just straight up are not going to work. Right? They cannot work inside of a browser WebAssembly thing. By flagging this supported platform, now the compiler will check for you and tell you, hey, you're targeting Net 7. This API is only available in Net 7 for browser. Or if you do something like Windows, that now unlocks .NET 7 APIs that are only available on Windows. Right? So there's things like that to be able to use, but because we're building a Blazor app, we want browser. Let's see, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. And specifically, it's required on this shared one because we're targeting just the regular .NET SDK. On some of these other ones, the fact that we're targeting the Blazor WebAssembly SDK, this little line does a lot of work. Like it's very simple to put in a little simple SDK attribute, but there's a lot that goes on behind this. Okay, so that gives us that, and then down here in our projects, all of our package references just need to indicate which packages they want. So for example, these package references, we now drop all of our versioning. That's not a thing. We just do this, and away we go. We do this. You don't have any. You don't have any. You didn't have any because you were already in the directory build props. This one here, we now drop all of these. So you can see we've kind of done like multiple levels of MS build level abstraction. Right? We've got the packages props, which is defining all of our things. Down in our test folder, we have a directory build props, which is saying, okay, all of the projects in here are going to also pick up these package references, but these are only going to define the names of the package references. The versions are kept in one place. I'm just going to mildly sanity check it to make sure it shows good. This centralized package management has actually existed for a while. It's just that the Visual Studio support and the tooling support for it was only recently added in Net 7. So last November. Okay, there's all that, there's all that, there's all that. Rebuild. I see a failed. That's not a good thing. Should not define the version on package references. Huh? Which project are you having issues with? All of these ones. Procket, let's see. Were those NuGet references in the test CS project instead of the props? No, they were only in the props. Oh, hang on. Wait a minute. Why do I have... Oh, I'm an idiot. Apparently the shared one I did not clean up properly. So, okay. So that's why I'm confused. Thank you. Good catch, Benjamin. These, I cleaned up the wrong thing. So these should be like this. I did not even realize I was looking at the wrong file. Yeah. Yeah, and it's a little unusual that I will do package references in a build props file that's not exactly a common use case. The exception being for unit test projects. Like in this case, all of my unit test projects are going to use XUnit. I want the .NET SDK on all of them. I want AutoMocker on all of them. Like there's certain things where some of these things may get extra stuff added to them, but kind of the basics, I got no problem specifying it up here. Okay, let's try that rebuild one more time. There we go. And you did see the error there as well, is once you turn this on, if somebody tries to add a package reference with a version specified on it, it'll whack you upside the head and say, don't do that. Okay, so let's go here, move my big head out of the way. Centralized package management is cool. Boom, ship it. Okay, so that should go out. Don't know if there's anything else I should prep ahead of time. Trying to think. Probably good. I think. I just realized I said we weren't going to use SignalR, and I think it's still enabled. Just fine. I don't mind. Or maybe it's not. There are some using cleanup. Before I get too carried away, let's see. Run code cleanup. Let's just analyze code cleanup. Thank you. Let's see. Configure code cleanup. I just want to look at what's in each of these. Apply file headers, sort and format document. That's probably good. Let's just clean up. I don't know how many files, if any, that's going to flag. One. The one I did. Okay. Fine. Sure. Remove reusing. Okay, so there's that. There's that. I think that may be it. I can't think of anything else we need to. I don't know. I mean, maybe you could implement the timeline bar and backend link to Outlook. It would help with the hackathon. It would. It certainly would, but one could also argue that those are outside the scope of prep. Okay, so there is that. There's this. If anybody wants to follow along, you'll be seeing this repo get stuff happening with it over, well, Friday, probably about 5 p.m. Pacific until about 5 p.m. on Saturday. You will likely see a ton of stuff going into this repo at a very rapid rate. I will probably be consuming a copious amount of Mountain Dew, as is my custom during hackathons. Sleep becomes somewhat optional, but that's partly induced by the copious amount of Mountain Dew part as well. Brisket will be ready at 6. And there's my motivation to show up right there. Right there. For everyone who has not tried Alan's brisket, you are absolutely missing out. It is heavenly. I believe the way I described it earlier was, and Alan cooking brisket is like art. Okay, I think that gets me through there. I don't know if there's anything else I'm going to do on that. Do classes at Benjamin is not actually in Spokane with us, so he has a small commute, but it is a drivable commute. Okay. I might take a quick look at why these things failed real quick. and take a crack at this pipeline. Oh, I was going to leave the brain teaser thing up. Actually, before I do pipeline, let's just jump back to the brain teaser, because that one was fun. That one was fun. Okay, so I'm going to pull this guy up again. And then for those people who missed it, here's the branch. There's a short README. The code is in the values test.cs if you want to take a look at it. It looks like this. Okay, so the question for this very simple brain teaser is, what is the value of sum at the end of this method? Now, I trust most people can check out the code, pull it down, run the test, set the breakpoint like I've done, and just look at the value. But the question is, if I were to write an assert equals, right, or an assert equal here, what value do I put, right? Which one adds it up? So I'll give people a minute to kind of look it over. If you have guesses, feel free to drop them in the chat. It's a very simple problem. So some people are familiar with the interview FizzBuzz problem. This is not related to that in the least. I was just looking for fun words, and FizzBuzz came to mind, and I went, ship it. So I'll give people just a moment to stare at that. And then if you want to avoid spoilers, this would be the moment you hit the pause button. We got a guess for 9. Excellent. Like I said, don't feel bad on this one, because I got bit by this one. What does the vertical pipe do? That is a wonderful question. So this vertical pipe is a bitwise OR operator. It is combining the values of fizz and buzz together. So I'm going to start talking through the answer, but feel free if people want to drop in guesses of how far they want to go. If it helps, get value is only invoked 5 times, and get value can only return 2, 1, or 0. So you've got a range of 0 to 10. If you pick a number outside of the range of 0 to 10, I can tell you now you're wrong. The answer is between 0 and 10. Yeah, I was just making sure I didn't do anything stupid. I got 9 as well. So there's a couple things that this comes down to. The first of which is this flagged enum value. So enums are effectively named integers. If you do nothing else, that's what you get. And enums have some basic guidelines that you should always follow with them. Because they are named integers, the convention is that you should always have a defined 0th member, right? So this guy here. And generally you want to name it something like none, unknown, something to that effect, because the default value of an enum is always going to be 0, right? So if I do values foo, right? At this point here, foo is equal to 0, right? And here, we'll just make the pilot shut up, right? Foo will be 0, because that is the value of enum. Whether I have none defined or not, the value is going to be 0. So changing to 5. Down in here, so worth noting, the other thing that has happened is typically enums should be named with a singular noun. The difference is if you specify one with the flags attribute, what that says is that the values in the enums, rather than just being named integers, are effectively going to be binary values instead, right? So you can, so for people who are unfamiliar with counting in binary, I won't dive into the details here, but 0 is 0, 0, 1, 2 ends up being, 1, 0. I should probably not do the binary here, right? So this is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and then 4 ends up being 1, 0, 0, right? Etc. So when you do a flagged enum, what this does is it tells the or I should say it hints to the language that, okay, these values here are expected to be combined in some manner, which is what this pipe ends up doing. So when you do a pipe between fizz and buzz, it does a bitwise OR between these two values and ends up giving a resulting value. So this ends up being 1, 1, because 1 or 0 is 1, 0 or 1 is 1, so we end up with 1 and 1. Right? And so this walks through here. So this first get value of fizz should be fairly simple. It drops in here. It goes, does it have the value of buzz? No. So it drops to the next if. Does it have a flag of fizz? Yes. Return 1. And away we go. And then we do fizz buzz. And then we do unknown. And then we do buzz. So I'm just gonna run it. Okay, so I see some guesses for 3. We've got a 5. There was a past vote for 9. Let's take a look. Okay. Last chance to pause the video before spoilers. Here they come. So, correct answer here is, oh, come on, show it to me. 7, which I'm sure was on everybody's chart. And so the question now comes, where the heck did the 7 come from? Right? So let's back this up and go through, because I think some of these will be easy and some of these won't. Like I said, don't feel bad. I got bit by this past week on my day job, and I went, huh? And then I slap facepalm myself later. Okay, so sum 0, we're good, right? I'm just gonna pin this guy here so we can watch his value changed. I was right for certain values of 9. Yes, for very small values of 9, you were spot on the mark. Okay, so the first one of fizz, okay, not surprising, right? That makes sense. We passed in fizz, we hit line 33, we got a 1 back, we added 1 to sum, great, right? Get value of fizz or buzz, we expect that because we're passing in 1, 1, enum has flag, should return 2, this value should go to 3, right? Sum should be 3 after this call. Great, okay, perfect. We now hit the value of fizz buzz, right? And so if we look at this, the value that we expect gets to be a little unusual. And if we step, we'll note it didn't change. This is because I implemented a very bad enum. Where do I get a bunch of these code puzzles? Oh, slight detour. You can find a list of them along with helpful, hang on, I want to go back to the main. There, this one. There is a repo of them where I am compiling them. You can see them listed here, and many of them have YouTube videos explaining the solutions behind them. So, enjoy. And as I find more, I'm adding them up here. So, and new YouTube videos queued up for at least the next 2 weeks every Wednesday. Okay. So, fizz buzz, I did a bad thing. Right? Is, in general, they are not organized in any manner. I tried to organize them at one point, and then I couldn't decide what is hard and what is easy. Is really difficult for me to assess, because so many of them point into particular language features. I could certainly tell you which ones are harder than others. Like the mutating strings ones are probably in esoteric ones. But yeah, if you want to take a stab at giving a level on each of them, I would not mind updating those. So for FizzBuzz, I broke one of the enum guidelines. In general, if you're going to write a combined value like this, the combined value should be reflective of combining fizz and buzz. This is a bad name, right? It's not bad to have a 4 value here, but it is bad to have it look like it's a combination of 2 other previous members. You can think of something like, what is it, the file access enum, where it has read and read write and write. You expect that read is 1, write is 2, and read write is the combination of 1 and 2. That's what you expect. In this case, we already said that the combination of these 2 things is in binary is 1 1, but 4 is 1 0 0. So FizzBuzz is just straight up bad. it's a bad name. Please don't do that. And the because it doesn't match either of these flags, we fall through both if statements and get a 0. Okay, let's do unknown. Oh, and it boom, boom, boom. Okay, so unknown, you'll note it jumped us up to 2, or it jumped us from 3 to 5, going up by 2, right? And this is where things get weird. You'll note as I was going through and describing the binary, I very intentionally left this one off. And this one comes down to a very interesting problem, because when I first showed this problem to a colleague, he looked at it and I kind of expected him to just spot it immediately. And he looked at it and he went, I don't see it. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a great brain teaser. The issue being, and to be fair, once I told him, I was like, look closer. Then he saw the -1 and started laughing at me and said, you're an idiot, which is correct. So negative numbers inside of binary get represented with something called 2's complement. So if you look at, there's a couple hints that I put in here. Specifically the Wikipedia page on 2's complement, on how that actually works in binary. The short version is, in order for that to work, the binary of this ends up looking something more like 111, 11111. Like, I got 32 bits to work with, so I'm not going to write it all out. Effectively, turning all the bits on. At least the lower bits that we care about, right? So unknown has flag is going to trigger true for both has flag buzz and has flag fizz, right? If we take a look at our immediate window, just to hammer this home, values dot unknown has flag values buzz returns true. And if we do the same thing for fizz, also returns true. This was the bug that bit me, is I expected unknown to not do that. And because values were written in decimal rather than in hex or binary, I completely overlooked the fact that -1 has all the bits turned on, or at least the lower bits turned on. Yeah, so there we end up with 5. And then finally we hit buzz, which is a fairly simple one. We hit our first case and we get our answer of 7. So the correct answer is we get a 7 here, with 1 coming in from fizz, 2 coming in from the combined one, 0 coming in from here, another 2 coming in from here, and then another 2 coming in from here. So 2, 2, 2, 1 adds up to 7, at least last time I checked. And there's the answer. So bitwise logic. There are some very good guidelines. One, in general, if you're going to do a flags enum, and this isn't as clearly spelled out as I was hoping it would be. There is this page here. Oh no, this is the bitwise shift operators. Where is the docs on enum? Yeah, I was still in the process of writing this one. Let's see. There's a guidelines page, and I probably should link it at least in the solution. This does not look like where I was expecting. Design guidelines, enums. Yes, this guy. This is the guy. This will probably end up in my solution explanation. So, bunch of guidelines around here. I won't bore people with it. We'll just jump to the important bits. Designing the flag enums. These are the important ones to keep in mind. So one, it says avoid creating one where certain flags are invalid. And in this case, fizz buzz, it's kind of hard to say whether things are invalid because context matters in all things, right? Avoid using a flag enum values of 0 unless the flag represents all flags are cleared, and this is named appropriately and prescribed by the next guideline, right? Name your 0th member none, right? I don't know if none is always the answer, but it should be something that's logically equivalent to none. None, unknown, zero, something to that effect. Right? And then there's also versioning capabilities to take into account. This one here is the one I would argue that that the brain teaser is violating. Do use powers of 2 for the enum flag so they can be freely combined using the bitwise OR. Technically, I kind of did that, but I would advocate that the -1 is a gross violation of that, which is how we're getting into the fun state that we are. So this one I will have a solution branch posted for sometime this week, and then I will record a similar video for it. So people on the live stream, you get the preview of the brain teaser. And as always, if people come up with other brain teasers that they think are interesting, or you come across something, I'm very happy. Feel free to open issues or pull requests or whatnot, and I'll deal with the Git stuff of getting things all lined up. That's not a problem. Basically, this repo has been set up with a whole bunch of branches where each of these branches is another problem. With the exception of problem start, which is just it's basically a single commit that I use as a template when adding new ones. So for what it is worth, there we there. Let's take a quick peek-see at this now. Let's take a little peek-see at this guy here and just see what's going on. So update version numbers. We're going to start with this. Let's see. So this is going after getVersions.yaml and saying it doesn't exist. And I'm wondering if I renamed it or moved it and was dumb. GetVersions.yaml, that looks like a thing that exists. Oh, I'm a moron. So for those people who don't see my mistake, this guy here, when you run a job out on a GitHub action, you start the job and your working directory is basically empty. So I try to increment something without actually checking out the repo so that there's nothing there, which is why it's not finding the file, because I've cloned nothing. There's no checkout. Yeah, spot on the mark. So this job is lacking a checkout operation, which would unblock that. Okay. This is once again the problem with testing things outside of it. This one here is unfortunately the same problem. It is the same problem, and I will explain. So this guy here, the idea being that I am using the GitHub CLI, which, pro tip, this is a very nice CLI to work with. This is a very nice CLI. It works well in scripts. It works well for a user interface. Mwah. This is well done. This is very well done. Very much approved. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Definitely worth adding if you're doing stuff on GitHub. So if I do, right, what do we got? So GitHub, probably update too. Let's just do, well, hang on, let's go and grab the actual command that's being run. Let's see. So we are down near the bottom where I want to close the milestone. All right. So we are running this command here. GitHub milestone list JSON number tile. All right. So let's take this, bring it here. That one. So if I run it here and Uh, Now I'm confused as to why GitHub milestone no worky. Unknown command milestone for GitHub. Has command line API gotten any inspiration from GitHub CLI? Not so much. Only because for people unfamiliar with what's being referred to, the system command line repository, it aims to enable this behavior for people, which it does a fairly good job of, but it doesn't necessarily give you this out of the gate. This is what we would call a higher level flavor, or app model as they were called previously, where people have opinions about how these things should be structured. I personally like the way the GitHub CLI is structured. Other people may not. Like when you typo a command, seeing this is both maybe helpful, maybe not. I'm now a little confused as to why I don't see milestone in this list, and yet my command previously had it. Is it? Let's just go a little spelunking. Does GitHub issue? Repo milestone? Maybe. Where is milestone? So I may have just botched this command. The other thing that I'm noticing that is probably wrong on my the other thing that I would argue is wrong with my work here is, oh, that's why. Okay. So read what's in front of you, moron. The other nice thing about the GitHub CLI, it has extensions, and other people can write them, and then you can do this kind of garbage. Huzzah! That's what we're looking for right there. Right there. Right? See? Magic occurs. So even if they don't have it, they have extensions, and other people can write extensions. And not surprisingly, the GitHub CLI extensions work very similar to how GitHub Actions work. If you are curious what the extension does, you take it, you type in github.com/paste, and huzzah. So gives you access to milestones and various things like that, which is great. What is, I suspect, very wrong with my invocation is the only way that it knows what repo this is going to is because it's looking at my local repository, seeing that it's a Git repo, and going out to GitHub there to do it. If you are outside of your repo, you really need to specify your owner/repo. Because if you just run this on a bare directory, it has no idea where to go. How would it know which repo to look at? So once again, the fact that I didn't do a checkout is biting me because it's not grabbing it appropriately. Now, in this case, I don't think the solution is going to be to add a checkout step. I think what I'm going to do, the GitHub context, GitHub Actions context, the GitHub context here, I believe already contains a variable that's something like owner/repo, because that gets used in so many places. Yeah, so github.repository, the owner and repository name. So that's the guy. So I think for this one, the solution is going to be simple. We need to use this variable as part of the CLI command so that it appropriately knows which repo to go through and grab things from. Where do you find extensions from? In this case, Google. I don't think, I'm not aware of like anything equivalent to like the marketplace. Let's take a look. I don't think they have a great. Oh, well, look at that. So they don't have a great story, but as long as your repo has the appropriate topic specified, right? That'll get you at least where you want to go. So if we do go back to that other one, which was that guy, boom. You will note topics are here, right? So you'll note it has the GitHub extension, and that be how it picks it up. So there's not a great, I wouldn't say there's a great like marketplace experience like what you have with GitHub Actions, but at least it's a way of searching it. And again, Google works really well for doing it. And then doing all the extension-y things, which I very much appreciate this. This is one thing that I would love to see system command line add, but it's not going to be something that makes it into like a base level repository. This is going to be something, an added feature on top of it. Of most CLIs don't need the ability of having extensions, and doing extensions adds a whole slew of complexity. Because like say your CLI is written in .NET 6, but somebody writes an extension in .NET 7, right? Or vice versa. Like you start to run into weird assembly binding things and redirects and yeah, yuck. Like the extension model, building things with extensions is harder than people think it is. And the worst part is you can usually get an extension model working really easily. Like you can get something up and shipped pretty quick. The pain with extensions always comes with the maintainability and longevity of it. Of yeah, it worked last year, but now we've had 3 different versions and we've got extensions written in all of them and yada yada yada. How do we get people to upgrade and how do we filter them and that kind of thing. So I think that's going to be the solution in each of these cases. I think for now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to manually do the stuff in the repo. But I would like to do it. I want to test the command. So let's do a cd temp. That'll work. I want to do, so if I do this, right, this is what's likely happening. So I'm now in a repo that doesn't have, or I'm now in a folder that doesn't have a Git repo. And so in order to actually get this, I'm going to need to give it something like this. And I'm trying to remember the magical incantation. Let's see. I think I can just do this. No. Can I do, is it just owner/repo? Oh. Okay, if I do owner/repo here. Okay. This is what I don't know where to do it at. Let's see. I thought there was also a way of like setting your default extension commands milestone. Let's see here. Milestone, create milestone. I mean, we're going for list, so let's just do that. I could have sworn this thing showed me the ability of specifying. But that is not helpful. Get first 10 milestones. Wait, is there not a clean way of setting? Okay, so without being inside of here, I thought there was a way of setting okay. Wow, that is a lot. That's way too much. Okay. Because I would like to just, if I could set it. Okay, so I could just do gh repo. Right, so if I do gets, and then I do paste, and I do this maneuver, right? So this will set the environment variable just locally for me. Then I should be able to do milestone list. Filter to the name. I could, but the thing is I'm not personally right now. I've already done the GH login, but I'd like this command to work just empty out the gate. And I'm wondering if this repo doesn't play nice with we're gonna just check the docs here. Add the repository R. So said was gonna put in the 2.0. Doesn't look like it actually got implemented yet though. So it may not be implemented. So the solution here might just be to do a checkout, which isn't the end of the world. It won't kill me. I'll be sad. Hey, Naughties, thanks for the follow. 2.0 came before they assigned that issue. Yeah, not horribly surprised. It's a little ugly to do a checkout just so that the command works, but at the end of the day, this is not going to kill me. Okay, so release. We can go here and we can let's see, build artifacts has my checkout. So we're going to do this maneuver and we're going to come down here. And I think what I'm going to do is, because I'm not going to stress about trying to test this, I'll just wait till the next release because it's not killing me to not have this. But I am going to leave a comment here. No, don't. Copilot, stop it. Stop it, Copilot. Knock it off. Good question. I don't think I need that. Let me just confirm, because I believe you're correct. 0 is get me all the things, right? Not that's the wrong repo. Try again. Fetch depth. Default indicates all history for all branches and tags. Default is 1. Yeah, so we definitely don't want that here. I will need to check on the other one, though. Something in the back of my mind is telling me that I needed it because I needed to fetch all tags for something. I could be wrong. I might not need it there either. But uno momento. I want to link to this issue so that I know when to go. Let's see. Doing a checkout until this issue is resolved, just so that future Kevin doesn't hate past Kevin, because past Kevin's a bit of an idiot. Okay, update version numbers. This no worky without checkout. The comment isn't relevant here. I think let's see. Benjamin, do you recall if something in the back of my mind is telling me that I have to specify a token if I want push permissions back in? Though that may or may not be needed. Let me look. What am I doing here? So PowerShell to do the things. Something is telling me that I need to specify the a hook here. Oh, I might not need it because I think I gave my runner permission to push. I think I gave my runner permission to push. Yeah, I think that is acceptable, that it has push permissions, because this is how I'm able to push back to my wiki repo as well. That, and it's wide open. Yeah. Checkout is needed so that we can. Okay. Yes. Copilot, which file? Which file? Huh? Huh? You're gonna write it. Do it right. Okay. That goes there. That goes there. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So you'll note that this whole script here is pretty much just a magical incantation to bump the third digit of the version numbers. So here's the thing. All that does is this. That's literally all that script does. It doesn't think, it just blindly bumps the version number. So we are going to blindly bump the version number. Let me look real quick and see about this fetch depth, because we might want to kill that too. I just want to look and see. I've done so many renditions of this pipeline. It's very plausible that it's not needed anymore. And I think this is not needed anymore. I think this is an artifact of when I was doing tag-based stuff. And .NET 5 is definitely not needed anymore. Because the only stuff we are targeting 462, 31, 60, 70. So we're good there. 462 comes default on the agents. Okay, so I think that's good there. That'll clean that up. That'll clean that up. Good catch on that. Let me just do a quick... We're going to just do a quick search to see... Huh? You found 0 files. What? You should find some files there. Did I have like regex turned on or something weird? No. Search in entire solution. I guess current directory works as well. Am I just missing something? Not in bin, not in obj. Oh, not star dot. What? Why is it filtering that? There we go. Okay, so the only two places this exists are here. There's also a checkout there. This is in the icon update, so that's not needed either. Yeah, because this one is the one that you'll note it's using a specially generated pat. See, Alan? And the whole reason for doing this here is so that the pull request created from this script triggers downstream actions. By default, the access token that your GitHub Actions run on can't trigger downstream actions. That's the way they limit, like the circular action A triggers B, B triggers A, and it round and round and round we go. So by default, they prevent that. You can also do .NET with the global JSON, I believe. Correct. The only reason why I can't do that is that doesn't work if you're multi-targeting. Doing it with the global JSON will ensure that you have the SDK that you need. I want to make sure I have the extra ones as well. Okay, so I think we're good there. Let's just check this. Sorry, getting weird emails. Let's see here. 4.8, that should be where master moved up to. So let's, okay, hold on. Stash, switch, pull, pop. There we go. Okay, so let's have a little gander here. So with fetch depth off, drop 5x, that's fine. Rev version numbers, that's fine. Drop the extra space on the cron job, fetch depth off, great. Release now has 2 checkout commands, one with the appropriately linked issue, one with the checkout and a comment indicating why. Okay, let's see. Bumping version numbers, fixing production release pipeline. Sorry, I'm trying to decide if I just push this straight into master or if I do something. Yeah, I heard push straight into master. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. You'll also note my pipeline was convenient and tagged by commit for me, so that's nice. And generally, you shouldn't push straight into master. That's a bad idea. So this is a do as I say, not as I do moment. The last thing is we need to close the milestone that was there. And so we're going to close this 4.9.0. We'll just put this as a holding milestone for anything that may come in before 5.0 is ready. Bum, bum, bum. That way we've got something to tag it with and then work through there. So there we go. And this should go through. And tonight's nightly release, you should see a 4.8.1 preview NuGet package out there. We can go and check NuGet real quick and just make sure it shows appropriately. Boom. Latest release 4.8 is out the door. Woot, woot, woot. Like, not having to think about the versioning and managing all of this, like, the automation was a pain to do. It was a ton of hours. But, oh, being able to release and have some degree of confidence in the release is so nice. So, okay, I think with that, it is almost 11:30. I should probably sleep at some point because I also have a meeting at 7 a.m. Dang. Yeah, 7 a.m. is going to come early. So, with that, I'll tell everyone thank you for coming.